The other day I thought to myself, you know those D&D tiles that people put together for their D&D sessions and whatever, and they have like cool spires and buildings and little minis, and I was like, that's cool, but what if it was themed around one of my favorite video games, whether it be Minecraft or Portal or Half-Life, Kirby, Mario, the list goes on, and then I remembered I have a 3D printer. So of course, I made this. This here is my interlocking tile. As you can see, it points out on two sides, and when I turn around, you'll see that it goes in on two sides, so it only locks in a specific way on a specific grid. My original idea was to have them like this, so you weren't forced to put them together in a specific way. All my issue is that the little piece that to connect them was too flimsy and it would fall apart too quickly, and I didn't like that. So, I also learned something new called ironing, where my 3D printer takes the nozzle and melts the top off and makes it really smooth. As you can see in a comparison, here's with the print lines when the print is done, compared to one without the print lines, because it's been ironed. Now with this, I can put the tiles together any which way or whatever I want. But as I looked at these three lonely green squares, I thought to myself, what if there was some water? Now of course it's the same tile, just a little bit shorter. Of course, it doesn't have to be used for water. It could be just like a half step or, I don't know, a sunken bit of the floor. But for right now, it's water. And of course, it tiles really nicely along with everything else. And again, as I was putting everything together, this world I built felt just a little bit empty. While working on it, I had to decide what video game in particular that I wanted to build off of for this entire little structure series. And of course I chose Minecraft, since the blocky nature of everything should make 3D printing it all really simple. So for my first mini, I made Minecraft Steve. Steve takes just a little over 2 grams of filament to make, and his hands are just a little bit iffy, but that's because I decided to make the supports easy to take off over the minor sacrifice of him being a little goofy. Then, looking around, I realized Steve's in a flat, barren wasteland. Maybe we should add something like, I don't know, a tree? The tree's made of 3 pieces, being the top, which is accurate to the game, the bottom, which is a tile with a hole in it, and the trunk being the connection point between the two. Of course, everything connects together, and of course, Steve needs some mobs to interact with. Starting off with, I made the Villager. Very simple, and honestly, there's very minimal supports, mostly under the nose. And then, of course, you have to make the Farmer, which is a very simple one, because he's got just the wide brim. It's just a minor addition, and the supports off of the top of his hat weren't that bad to deal with. And then a really quick and easy Baby Villager, which is just the same thing, but really tiny with a big head. So, of course, I thought to myself, where the villagers gonna live? So I made myself a really quick and easy house. Being my first building, this was extremely difficult to make. Starting off with, my blocks aren't perfect, which does mean that a lot of these pieces do not fit properly unless were printed properly. So now in the build that you guys can get to print yourselves, there are guides so that everything fits perfectly instead of me just fixing everything, because I don't know how to fix everything. Then, of course, you've got the roof, which has got the nice fence posts, and they were really simple to print, and the little door with a lot of detail. And in the modern version, all of the gray is one piece, so you don't have to worry about gluing that together. Now, I had to create a connection point to put it on the tiles without it slipping off with a miscellaneous smack to the table. This little tile here connects perfectly to the bottom, and it has just enough grip that you can lift the building, but it's not impossible to take the building off when you need to dismantle everything. Now, you may have noticed that both of these guys have arrows. The arrows need to line up, otherwise it doesn't fit together because of my unevenness of my modeling. And it's not really a big problem. On the version of the print that you guys will get, and every subsequent building and structure that will connect these pieces, will have an actual arrow that is physically part of the print, and not just drawn on like mine, so that you guys don't have to really worry about it. Now to attach it to everything else. But of course, I ran into my own problem. the house overhangs something. Usually in villages there's a path, so I had to of course make a path block. So as you can see, they are just a normal tile, except for completely flat. Now I'm sure a lot of people might prefer these, but they do in some cases blend really well together, and you can't see the edge of what is one tile. So over here, as an example, you can see I just took the top part and the angles and removed it, making it solid across the top. It does make it line up really nicely, especially on builds, and it's very good as a path in this case. And again, just making sure everything attaches really nice. As you can see, they just snap in. And I recommend removing the house first and putting everything on later, but see, it's just nice flat little edge. And boom, it just attaches like that. Nice, snug, and cozy, and one solid piece. Now, I realize I made a grave mistake. This is the farmer villager, but he doesn't have a farm. So, of course, I had to make him a farm. It's really simple, and it has the oak logs around the side, water in the middle, composter, of course, and little grooved farmland. And again, just like everything else, it snaps onto a special tile and connects everything. And of course, I have to have one more tree. There you go, Mr. Villager. A nice place to work. And while I was working on the farm, I also made Alex, or just an orange player. You can put him in whatever color, to be fair, but... Now, as I'm looking at this, of course, my brain runs, and I look and I go, I could always add another building, but what's something stupid simple, especially after the freaking ridiculousness that was that main house. So I made the well. It's honestly just 3 colors, being the really stupid simple fence posts, the 2 big gray pieces, and I don't know if you can necessarily see it, but there is a bit of blue in there for the water. It's honestly not necessary since you can't see it normally without like direct light or, you know, just, it's a nice touch, to be fair. And of course, this is the first one that I actually printed with the arrow on the bottom the first time around. Made sure to no longer have that mistake going on. Surprisingly enough, my little sister was the one who actually suggested this, but I realized I was missing something kind of big from the village. The Iron Golem. Now, the tricky part about this guy is that I had to print him upside down. I don't know if you can see it, but it's because you see those little arms right there? That's impossible to print, even with supports. Here's a picture of the failed stuff. Obviously, it's not perfect. As you can see, they've all messed up. The supports couldn't do anything, and I end up printing it upside down. So for the final thing I'm building, it's going to be the Weaponsmith House. This thing is a modified version of the Blacksmith House from before the Pillage and Village update. This is the one that you'll see in game nowadays. I really wanted to do the original thing with the furnaces and all that stuff, but of course, you know, that's just doesn't exist, at least not the one I remember. So you're getting this one, the modern version, of course. You can see here I'm struggling to put stuff together and properly, and the problem with it is that this is a test build, just like the other ones. A lot of the time this isn't perfect, and I have errors and that I have to amend that you guys won't have to worry about. So just enjoy me building. Now, I do say that 4 buildings is probably enough for at least one video, and I want to leave some room for you guys to suggest new things to add. Where should I go? I do plan on probably staying on the overworld for a while until I get most of the biomes and main things, like the surface at least, before I go into things like caves and get underground. And obviously there's so many more little minis I could probably make. I mean, we've only got so many. We've got like the villagers and the 2 players. We can always make more players. And of course I can always make more villagers. There's a lot of those. I know I haven't even touched on things like sheep or pigs. That's kind of the next step maybe, but let me know what I should do next. So this was really good fun, and I enjoyed making all these little things. Here's me placing down some of the characters here. But thank you for watching this all the way through, of course. I know I'm probably going to be posting shorts too, and most people aren't going to see the full video. But I would very much appreciate a like or whatever. And for someone to be interested in this work, all the links to all these models will be down on below and straight to Maker World. And you just Bamboo Lab files, and they're all been modified for the ironing and the easy remove supports that I've talked about. It's all in there, just for you guys. Anyways, have a good one.